Hi guys, I'm Beyond Taylor and I am here to help you go beyond your self-imposed limitations. So today we're going to talk about how to stop negotiating with reality so you can get what you desire. Because I know for a lot of you, you constantly negotiate within about what you want. Because maybe you don't feel worthy or you don't feel deserving or you don't feel like it's actually possible to get what you desire. So you don't even realize that you're the one that's creating all these limitations about it based on your beliefs. So if you think that's not actually possible, that's going to get reflected back to you within the 3D. If you think that I'm not worthy of what I desire, that's going to get reflected back to you in the 3D. Sorry, I keep looking over there. So we have to stop negotiating with ourselves, which is like negotiating with reality, because you are reality. You are everything that you see. There's no separation. So stop negotiating when it comes to what you desire. Claim it and allow reality to reveal to you your power. You can only know your power by having conviction in it and then allowing reality to reveal this truth to you. So I really wanted to talk about this because I've had multiple conversations in the past week. I feel like most of my videos stem from conversations that I've had with friends or with clients, and I can tell that they don't feel worthy of what they want because they're like, well, I got to have X, Y, and Z in order first before this is going to work out. And it's like, says who? You make the rules. You are writing the code for the reality that you are living in. So who says that, all of these components have to be in place before you can get what you desire? You say that because you've accepted that suggestion from the outside world, and then you've just claimed it as your own beliefs. So then by you claiming it as your own beliefs, you've set up the limit. When you can just identify with a new belief that you are limitless and that things flow to you regardless is it if you feel ready or not, and that you're equipped to handle whatever flows into your reality, then you'll start to see more of that come in. So stop negotiating with reality. And in this video, I'm going to show you why. And a lot of you, the reason why you negotiate so much with reality is because you're so identified with your mind. You're so identified with the thoughts that are playing in your head. There's no space between who you truly are, which is just the awareness, which is just the observation of your thoughts and the thoughts. When thoughts come up and start to go on their narrative, as they always do, you start to feel the emotions that come with the thoughts, and you take that to be who you are because it feels so real. It feels so localized in your body that it must be the truth. When aren't you just aware of the feeling as well? Aren't you always aware of your emotions as they come and go? Who is it that's aware of your emotions and your thoughts? That must be what you actually are. And the more that you identify with what's infinite and doesn't change, the less you become identified with thoughts. And when you start being so identified with thoughts, you see how loose they are. And then you start to use them for the tools that they were intended to be used for. And then you can create your own limits. All thoughts are limits. All words are limits. It's just about creating your own limits, your own boundaries within this free, infinite potentiality that we call reality. I feel like I just said reality like 50 times. But let's just get right into the video. I mean, we already getting into the video, but y'all know that I have a very analytical mind, even though I like to consider myself to be spiritual. And I feel like all of us are spiritual. That's why I use it in quotations. But I also am like very analytical, and I understand things based in like a process. If it's organized, so that's why I always do my videos in 3 parts, because it's the best way for me to present the information, and I also feel like as a consumer, it's the best way to consume the information. So, in this video, we are going to be talking about how to detach from thoughts, which I just kind of gave you a preface, but we're going to go into an exercise. The problem with negotiation, which I kind of already talked about again, but we're just going to get deeper. Again, my videos are so long because I like to offer nuance, not just say like this, and that, but I like to go into depth. We go into depth in this channel. So if you all about depth, you're in the right place. Okay? So we're going to talk about how to detach from thoughts. We're going to talk about the problem with negotiating with reality. And then I'm going to give you like 5 steps to how to end negotiation. So you're also going to get some very practical steps to end that process in this video. So definitely stick around. Hopefully this video is not too long, but also we're on the baby's time. So if she wakes up, and that's the end. So yeah, let's get right into this video. I love you guys. Part 1, we're going to be talking about how to detach from your thoughts. And the reason why I talk about this in every single one of my videos is because this is the foundation for reality creation. If you're too caught up in the identification of just being your thoughts, your body, the world of form, as taking it to be real and solid and of substance, it's going to be very difficult to break free from the conditionings that you have. Because when a thought comes up that says this isn't going to work, or I'm not worthy, or who am I kidding, you're going to identify with that and take it as the truth instead of just being the witness and seeing that it comes and goes. So this is why we are going to go into an experimental exercise in just a few moments, because it's one thing to listen to it or to read books about this. Sorry, I keep looking over here because my microphone will stop working. But it's one thing to read books about this, to listen to videos about it. And it's another thing to experience this firsthand. And through this experience firsthand, you see very clearly that you are not just your body and your mind, right? And the reason why I say just is because this is also a very nuanced conversation. If we live in a non-dual world, which means that it's not two, there's only one consciousness appearing as the form of many. That means that you are absolutely your body and your mind as well. Because there's no distinction. To say that you are awareness and not the body and the mind, that creates separation, that creates dualism too. I am this, I am not this. You are everything. But when there's too much identification in the body and the mind, you don't see yourself as also being the awareness. And in the awareness is where creation takes place. In the body and the mind, you're limited to the beliefs and ideas that the body and the mind holds. Well, really the mind. The body is just functioning in flow with nature. The mind is what's coming in and like creating all these restrictions. But first, it's important to see that you are just the awareness and everything is coming and going. So you can't be what comes and goes. And on top of that, you say, but there's no such thing as separation. So I must be what comes and goes. And then on top of that, you say, well, I must work with this world of form and limitation. I know that I'm broader than I'm beyond my mind and my body, but I'm not separate from my mind. Like, it's also a part of me. It's the navigation. It's the car that I'm using to navigate through this reality, right? It's the vehicle that I'm using. So how can I use this to work with me? And that's when, the power of imagination comes into play, and just working with your mind in general, because it's a tool. But for a lot of y'all, it's your master. It's running the show, when you, as the formless being that you are, should be running the show. And that's how you're going to stop negotiating with reality, by remembering this. But again, I don't want this to just be something that you think you know, because thinking is not the same as experiencing. The word water doesn't get you wet. So just because I say water, you're not going to feel the sensation of being drenched or touched by water. It's not until you experience water that you have this understanding. So now we're going to go into a bit of a deep reflection about your true nature through experience. And what most traditions call this is like satsang. And satsang is just where a group of people come together to reflect on truth. Sat is derived from a Sanskrit word meaning purity or truth. So we're just coming together, and I hope all of my videos can do that for you, which is why I'm very adamant about constantly talking about you are the awareness of which experiences comes and goes, because every single week you watch my videos, we're coming into a satsang together, right? We're coming to meditate and reflect on these deep truths about reality. And then on top of that, I like to say a little cherry on top, we're really intentional about the fact that if I'm in the world of form, if I'm in this world of limitations, I might as well make the limitations what I want, which I feel like most like non-dual teaching stop at. They just say it doesn't matter, you're just the awareness, like it's all, everything is perfect, it's all coming and going. And I'm like, I'm a rebellious queen, okay? So I'm gonna do what I want when I want. And you know what, I'm not even gonna get into all of that when it comes to like non-duality and how I feel about it. But this is why I combine non-dual teachings and understandings with conscious creation, because I feel like we live in a world of duality. It appears to be dualistic even though it's not. So why not have fun with that? Anyways, again, I don't want to get too much into that. I'm gonna make a whole video about that. But let's go into satsang because I could talk about that forever. Okay, so let's go into a satsang. So what I want you to do is look around the room and try not to label what you see. Just look around the room and pause this video if you must. And just like place your attention on one object at a time for like 3 seconds at a time. And really try not to internally label what you see. I'll give you a few seconds for that. And again, pause the video. Now, if you've been doing this work for a while, that probably was very easy for you. But if it wasn't, you probably noticed that your mind was constantly labeling what it was seeing. And also, maybe you were just like in the story, like, oh my God, what are we doing? What's the point of this? Oh, I got to do this later. This is, I got to make sure I pick up the kids. What am I going to eat for dinner? What am I going to eat after this? Do I want to finish this video? You got all these thoughts going on in your head. What is it that's aware of these thoughts that are coming and going? Because I'm telling you to not think anything. So if you can't control your thinking, then who is it that's thinking? How is it you when you can't even control it? Again, close your eyes. And I want you to just try not to have any thoughts for the next, let's say, 10 seconds. No thoughts. And just notice the thoughts that are coming. Because if they do, but just try. No thoughts. How was that? Maybe you were aware that you didn't have thoughts. Maybe there were thoughts coming in. Who was aware that you weren't having thoughts? What was it that was aware? It's the same awareness that's aware now. It was the same awareness that was aware with the first exercise. And again, if you can't stop your thoughts, if you notice that like thoughts were still coming, that's just because that's the nature of them. They're automatic. So they can't be who you are, all of who you are. If you can't even control them, if you have no true influence over them. So it's just important to see that through experience, right? And let's go into one more exercise. Close your eyes, and I want you to take your attention to your breathing. Notice the sounds in the room. Notice thoughts as they come in, and then take your attention back to your breathing. Try to keep your attention on your breath. Your breath is your anchor because it's always going. And notice the thoughts that are going to come and go, come and go. Notice the sound of my voice. And notice how the sound of my voice quiets down. And then you can go right back to your breath. Your breath is what's stable. Open your eyes. This is how you detach from thoughts. This is how you deal with negative thoughts. This is how you deal with negative patterns. Is by creating the space of yourself as just simply the observer and the thoughts themselves. And I know that when there's a strong charge behind the thoughts, it's so easy to get pulled in because there's so much emotional investment in it. But you can even observe that too. Just constantly take your attention back to your breath. Constantly notice that the thoughts are coming and going on their own. And you are just simply observing them. And you can direct your attention at will. You can't direct the thoughts. You can't control what thoughts are coming in, but you can control where your attention is going. This is how you're going to stop negotiating with reality, because you're going to stop taking your thoughts so serious. You're going to detach from being super identified with the thoughts, with the body, with the emotions that are coming and going. And you're just going to keep watching. But if you need a little bit more assistance, watch videos like this every single week. Like look up Muji, Rupert Spira. Who else is really good? I guess those two. Start off with those two. I think they're really simple for beginners. And just they will put you into these deep states of meditation throughout your day that will allow you to experimentally see yourself as being the awareness, as being just the I am, and how everything else is shaping the I am. This is what's going to allow you to not just know it, but experience it. Videos like mine every week where we talk about this every single week. And also you can check out my self-inquiry guide, where you could just have that. It's like a 12-page guide, $7. You can have it in your pocket whenever you forget about, like, well, how do I do this? How do I go into self-inquiry and just being the noticer? You'll have that little guide. I have little exercises in there, and I just talk you through what self-inquiry is and how to do it. So that is down in the link below. So yeah, that is what satsang is, and that's what I hope all of my videos can be for you, is an invitation of the truth that you are not what comes and goes. You are not only what comes and goes. More of what you like, the majority of what you are is beyond what comes and goes. What comes and goes is just the slight reflection that you see in the mirror. But you are so much more expansive and so much more broad. So the problem with negotiation, it comes down to two simple things. You don't believe that you have the power to shift your reality the way that you want, and you don't believe that you are worthy of what you desire. And I also think this has a lot to do with like a morality thing, which I've had many conversations over the past couple weeks about people feeling like, well, who am I to change like what's going on? Like I feel like I'm trying to play God. What is the name of God? I am, or the holy breath, or energy, consciousness, awareness. These are all attributes that you have, that you say, that you claim. So you're not trying to play God. You are honoring God by having a conviction of what you desire and allowing reality to reflect that truth to you by maintaining in that conviction. You're not trying to play God. I would say this is the highest praise. This is the highest praise. So take all these ideas about morality, and because it's all just conditioning. There's really no such thing as like morality. That is, the whole idea of being a moral person is an idea. It's something that somebody came up with a very long time ago, and then we just accepted their rules about how reality works. We've accepted their limits. Now, I'm not saying that there's not useful attributes or definitions of what makes someone moral or not, because I like to think about it as a simple thing. And I remember I heard this a while ago, and it said like all the commandments like in the Bible, or like all these rules about reality, could be thrown out if we understood these two things: to love God and to love ourselves. That's it. Because when we truly love God, we would know that God is everything. When we love ourselves, we know that ourselves is everything. So it goes back to the golden rule of treat others how you want to be treated. If you really understood that everything was just you, there would be no need for like morality and like doing, like being a good person and all these other things. That's just what happens in the world of duality, where we feel like there's good and there's bad. Everything is perfect the way it is. So don't allow yourself to not go after what you desire because of the conditionings that reality has placed on you about you shouldn't do this or you should do this. If you want to change something in your reality, you have the power to do that through your imagination, through your thoughts, because thoughts are the limit. Language is the limit. So whatever you are thinking about reality, you're creating a box around it, and it has to become the truth. It's not the truth, it's your truth. So that's how you negotiate with reality, by being too attached to your beliefs. And it's so harmful because it's not what's aligned with what you truly want. It's what you think you should want. And until you can detach yourself from being this limited being who's localized inside of the body, you're going to continue to negotiate with reality. You're going to continue to negotiate in all areas of your life about what you actually want, because you just can't see the power that you actually hold. This is why it's important to go into practices like meditation, to come into satsangs, to watch videos like these and others who are going to expand your conscious awareness so that you can see very clearly the truth, and then use thoughts as tools to see that you're worthy simply because you exist. You are not the thoughts that say I'm worthy or I'm not worthy. You are everything. So how could you not be worthy? You are literally everything. There's no such thing as separation. Separation is in the mind. The mind comes up with all these labels: space, object, distance. None of that actually exists in reality. It's all just one unitive movement. But it's thinking that's creating the distinctions. So you got to take out so much faith that you have in your thoughts and put your faith in reality. Put your faith in who you are, because you're not separate from reality. That will give you the conviction to trust that when you claim something, it's yours and you don't have to negotiate. And let me say this too. There's a fine line between not budging on what you desire and not being able to see that desire is coming from a place of like lack and not being worthy to begin with. Because as you start to really step into and become more of who you are, which is just like the expanded version of yourself, a lot of your desires will fall away because they were only there because you felt limited and separate and small. Once you start to expand and become the fullest version of you, your desires will change. So that's why I think it's important to become who you are first, or to notice, because you were never not who you are, but to recognize that you have always been everything you desire. The desires from there are just more so an expression of what you are, and not necessarily you don't have desires in order to add value to you, because you recognize that you don't need to add anything to you. You are already everything. You are already fulfilled. You are already whole. You are already perfect. Your desires are more so to express this. So that's how you can tell, and like that's how you know where to budge at when it comes to your desires, because it's like, is this desire coming from a place of unfulfillment, of lack, of needing people to see me as a certain way, or is this coming from a space of I'm already this, I already have these qualities, and they're just expressing that. And this takes a bit of shadow work to really be able to see these, but eventually it becomes very clear to you like where these desires are coming from. But it is a thin line. So once you're able to see that, you'll stop negotiating because you'll have clarity, which is what we're about to go into now. Let's go into part 3 because this is already getting very long. So I'm going to give you 5 steps to end negotiating with your reality. So 1 is to have clarity. You have to have clarity about what you desire. Even if it's not 100%, you still have some idea that's very clear about what you want. So that way you know the direction that you're heading towards. And I always think there's power in writing it down. So definitely get a pen, paper, and write down what you want. And it can be a goal. I talk about this in my other videos that includes everything. This is what I want. This is how it's going to look. This is how my life is going to look. I know people use ChatGPT to help them out. They'll say like, write me a script or write a 5-minute story. And I've done this too. And it's actually really powerful and really fun. But write me a 5-minute story, including like, these are the goals that I want. Write me a story. And that way you have like a blueprint that you can look back to. And again, as you change and evolve, so will your desires. But at least you have a starting point. 2, I want you to write an anti-vision. Shout out to Dan Cole. He talks about this a lot. And I know some of you might have fears because you're like, if I write an anti-vision, that must mean I'm going to like bring it into my life. No. It's really so you know, like if I'm doing anything that's aligned with this anti-vision, then I'm going down the wrong path. So you can just write like, this is what I don't want. These are the habits that I don't want. This is how I don't want my life to look. So that way you know that if I'm doing any of these things, then I'm headed towards that direction and not towards the actual reality that I want to create for myself. 3 is about conviction. I want you to start building up trust with yourself. Get a discipline practice, right? If you say you're going to do something, do it so you can, because a lot of you just don't trust yourselves enough to bring in what you want. You have to start to build up a level of trust with yourself, and that's by doing what you say you're going to do. If you say you're going to go to sleep at this time, you say you're going to work out tomorrow, you say you're going to do this, you show up and do it. But also have compassion, because you're not going to be 100%. You are literally working against years and years of programming, and you have to like intentionally shift these identities that you have about yourself. So it's not going to be perfect, but the intention should be there, and you should be doing it more than you're not. So like, no, you're not going to be perfect, but also too much compassion, you playing games. So you got to get serious and intentional about this work. And that's so step 3 is just like building that conviction by having trust with yourself, and also by seeing the relationship between your reality and your mind. If claim something now, as you're building up this trust with yourself, claim something and allow reality to show you that you have the power. That when you start doing smaller and smaller, it's going to get bigger and bigger, and you're going to start trusting in your power and trusting that the universe is conspiring in your favor. Step 4, watch what you're consuming and who you're around. We all know that we become our environment. So pay attention to what a lot of y'all are listening and watching. Now, balance, because I love me some good cop shows on YouTube. Like the body cams, I watch a lot of that, right? And I wouldn't say that it's like going to help me get towards my goal, but there's balance. So I would say like 70-30. I use the 70-30 rule. 70% of the time I'm consuming content that is in alignment with the person that I want to be. It's like imprinting programmings or thoughts in my mind that are so in alignment with the reality I'm creating for myself. But 30% of the time, I love watching me some good trash TV, okay? So just balance, even around like people who you're around. If you can't help but be around people that are going to limit you, that's not going to believe in you, but manage the time that you like spend around them. Maybe you talk to them, have a few conversations, and you keep it brief, you keep it short. Okay? So 70-30 rule. Follow the 70-30 rule. And last, have fun. Y'all know I'm really big on fun. That's why I wore my cat ears today. I haven't worn my cat ears in a while, and I'm a very quirky girl, if you haven't noticed by now. So I just like to have fun with reality, you know. I'm Peter Pan, never go grow up, but I allow my maturity to be in the wisdom that I gain throughout life, and that's where the maturity comes in. It's like in my actions and in how I'm creating reality and being very intentional. But other than that, I'm very immature. I love to have fun, and yeah, like to have a good time. And I want you to approach that with reality. Don't take this so serious. If you don't have fun with it, stop it. That's what I do. If it starts to get a little bit too serious for me, I'm gonna take a break, because obviously I'm using this as a means to an end and not to express. Sorry, I didn't know what that was. It's a dog out there. But yeah, that's all I got. I love you guys.